want to hear
Yeah.
from you. Like, okay, when you say trust, okay, what does that mean to you? What does authority mean to you? I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that, just in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I could use that term trust to talk about two different topics. There is trust in terms of I'm making an edit to my business. Google looks at every single edit that you make to your business profile and assesses it for risk, and this is really built over years of us observing like really malicious and fraudulent behavior that exists over, people really trying to take advantage of the visibility that Google gives businesses and exploit that for, malicious intent. And so, that's the reason that certain industries are more scrutinized than others. So actually years ago, like the GBP team invested in, internally we referred to it as the evolution of trust, or EOT. I mean, Google loves 3-letter acronyms, so like evolution of trust was EOT. And so the whole philosophy behind that initiative was, we're gonna make it easier for you to make edits on your profile. So instead of having a real high barrier to entry, right, like where we're going to force you to prove, very heavily, that you belong in that profile and are able to make edits. Instead, we're going to allow you to make simple edits, but if it triggers over a threshold, a risk threshold, then internally we would say we're going to make you jump through some hoops, right? We're going to make, and this is where the re-verification checks come in. And so what that translates to is that if you make what Google perceives to be risky changes, so this would be a change to the name of the business, the address, the phone number, the primary category, and the website. Those are the 5 core attributes that we have observed over the years as being the most risky in terms of people exploiting the system, right? And I've probably got a story that I could tell you for each one of those, of where like there was some level of fraud or malicious activity for each one. But just trust me when I say those are the things that they're paying attention to. So Google needs a differentiator now, right? Because it is normal that people will make a change to their phone number or address if they move, and so this is where the Evolution of Trust project really came into play, because it's like, all right, what is the change that is taking place on the platform, and how much do I trust the person who is making that change? And so there is this algorithm behind the scenes at Google that rates your level of trust, and you can build that level of trust by going in and suggesting edits or making edits to profiles, like leaving reviews, adding photos to businesses, right? All of those activities, assuming that they are accepted from Google, will elevate your level of trust in the system, right? So the idea is that, I know this bloke, Matt. He's been editing GBP for 5-10 years, and he's always gives us good stuff, right? Like all the changes that he suggests, all the edits that he makes, they're all good. They positively contribute to the Google Maps ecosystem. It's like, so we trust Matt. So now, if Matt was to go in and make a change that was more suspicious, right? If you were to go in and change the name or the address or the phone number or any of these attributes that are higher risk, they're more likely to say, you know what, Matt, you're good. We trust you, right? And that's kind of the way that this trust threshold works. And so trust in the context of Google Business Profile is really around like, how much history do you have within your profile of making edits and changes? Or is that history representative of positive contributions, or is it resulting in rejections and whatnot, right? And so like the trust is a two-way street, right? It can go up and it can go down. So trust in that context is really about how much influence do you have over manipulating what Google says about a given business. If I was...
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
No, you keep going. Keep going. I want you to finish the thought, but I do have something to ask you about that.
Right. So I'm just going to introduce the second part of trust, which is So that's kind of like framework number one in terms of like the trust of your profile's ability to make a change and for Google to believe that you are giving them good information. And then the other part of trust is in the EAT acronym, right? Like the expertise, experience, trust, and authority. And this is different because this has an AI context to it. So now it's not, do I trust you to make an edit? Now it's that, okay, you've got information published on your website. How can I trust that to be true, right? It's like, oh, I read it on the internet. It has to be true, right? I mean, like Google is now in the information intelligence business, actually, right? So they've moved away and they're investing more in providing answers to questions instead of providing links to answers to questions. And this is a really big fundamental shift that Google is moving in, because it used to be that Google was the librarian that would point you in the direction of where the book was that you needed to find your answer. Now, Google is now the librarian that can just straight up tell you the answer so you don't have to read the book. And so that's the danger that runs in Google serving incorrect information, right? And we'll have to wait and see how this plays out in terms of liability of like providing false information, because Google is extracting all this information from various sources of the internet and serving it in the AI overview and in AI mode as their opinion, right? That's AI is saying, based on all this research that I've done, here is my result. And so who is liable to that? And so in order for Google to get ahead of that, they need to be able to trust the source of the information of where it's coming from. So trust in this case is more about like this website that I'm extracting this content from. Like, is that a reputable website? Like what do I know about this brand? What do I like? Is that referenced other places as being an authority on a particular topic? How do I know that this is something that Google's going to put their name on as they represent it in the context of AI? So this is where AI optimization, or I mean, there's about 30 acronyms for kind of like, you know, AI, like what is it? AI optimization or LLM mode. Like there's all these funny, like, I don't know if there's really a proper acronym for this right now, but you know, the thing that a lot of SEO companies are really trying to do is influence the way that your brand is represented in these large language models. And an interesting story on that actually is that, you know, I was leading the GBP team, and the product manager that was building what is now known as the AI overview. At the time, it was Search Generative Experience, or SGE. Again, 3-letter acronyms, right? So they came to me and they said, "Hey, we're gonna release this thing." We were you know, piloting it internally at the time, and she said to me, like, "What are the businesses gonna say when we release this?" Right? She was trying to get a sense of the way that it was going to be perceived. And I said to her, you know, like businesses on the platform are going to want 3 things. They're going to want to know how to get in the AI overview, how to get out of the AI overview, and how to change the information that's in the AI overview, right? To kind of ideally make it more flattering. And she turned to me and said, they're not going to be able to do any of those things, right? And because that's not how AI works, right? Like it's not a database that you can go to and says, oh, it says X, I'm going to change it to Y. It's all trained, it's all learned data. And so what that means for us is that we have to build authority in the information that we are representing, even about our own companies. So it's not good enough to just create content and throw it on your website. You also have to represent, like, have that be represented in other parts of the internet so that you can increase your authority and trust, right, with Google, that you actually know what you're talking about, and that if they're going to reference your information and your website in AI, that the risk to Google is really low, that they're not going to get sued because it's incorrect information. So.
Well, you open up so many things. I'm like taking notes here of like, I don't know, you got a hard stop, but this could be a long one. So